What's up, nerds and nerdettes? This is the podcast where everyone knows your name. Cheers to ya.
Cheers to ya. I'm Josh.
And I'm Tyler, and this is 30 and Nerdy. And we are coming at you from the Fortress of Nerditude with yours truly, the registered nerd practitioner, the founder of Nerdledge, the Mac. And as always, joined by my co-host, the juicy one, the nerdtorious JLD, the PhD of Nerdology, Dr. Davis himself.
You're excited to be back, I think.
I'm very excited to be back.
Put a little umph in that, I can tell.
I had to. You all didn't last week, so I had to.
Oh, you mean you didn't? Because we played
I
doing it?
I set you up with me doing it, and then you're all just, okay, yeah, you're Bob Ross. It's okay, though. For those of you listening again, thank you so much for all the likes and all the subscriptions and reviews. Each week we are getting more and more, and we are so thankful for you tuning in. And if you're listening for the first time, you can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Overcast, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Radio Public, and of course our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, hit that 5-star button, and leave us a review. If you have any questions or comments, or even suggestions of an episode, we do have Facebook. Give us a follow. We're on Instagram and Twitter at 30andNerdyPod, and of course, check us out and subscribe to our website, www.30andnerdypodcast.com. That's 30andnerdypodcast.com. Dr. Davis, it is good to see your lovely face again.
Oh, you too, man. We sure missed you.
Oh, it sounded like it.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
I'm just saying, it sounded like you missed me.
Hey, but now that you're here, I can give you your Keyblade back.
Oh, did you save any worlds with it while I was gone?
I saved the Fanboy Expo world with it.
Nice.
While I was there for that one day.
Nice.
So what do you think of that?
Autograph. That is beautiful, man.
I think so too.
That is cool. Did he do the voice for you?
He did not, but I kind of figured that if I had had my daughter with me, that he would have done it.
Oh, and Emma would have freaked out.
And Emma would have been like, but things didn't work out for everybody to go that day, so she didn't get to go. But
darn,
next time he's around.
You know what you should have done?
What's that?
And I've not talked about it on this show yet, but you should have done his version of the dance from the clubhouse.
The hot dog dance?
Yeah, the hot dog dance. Because you know every character's dance.
So all of the characters have their own version of the hot dog dance that they do at the end of every episode of the clubhouse, and I know every single one of them.
Yeah,
and when the music starts, like da 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 da, Emma goes, and she runs over to the front of the TV, and we do the dance together.
It's probably the best I've ever seen you dance.
That's probably true. Mickey's good inspiration.
Oh yeah. So you had Fanboy. How was it?
Man, I didn't get to see the whole thing because I got there so late, and I was just like really taking my time and seeing all the cosplayers and looking at the art. And I had David with me, who is an artist. He designed our logo. He's very into that stuff, so he was really enjoying seeing the art, and I'm looking at the pops that people have for sale. We get through like half of the convention and realize that it's going to close, and I still hadn't gone to meet Mickey Mouse or do any of the other things I needed to do, so it was good up until that point when I had to rush.
Oh, cool. And you all did an episode. Your Nerdy Pop seems to be very popular.
Good.
We've gotten some emails about it, and we did do a follow-up video. You showed us some of your pops.
Yeah, we're trying a new thing here, folks, so we'll see how it goes. If it's, seems to be well received, we'll keep doing it. But we want to do like a follow-up Friday type deal where we just get together and we do a video, just kind of if there's anything we left off the episode that we needed to talk about, or if there's something we wanted to show you guys or whatever, because a lot of times we do that. We say, oh, we have a picture of this we want to share with everyone, or whatever, or after the episode comes out, we talk and we say, oh man, we forgot to say this or that or whatever. So this is our way of fixing that. So this Friday, look for a video. We're going to show off a few of the pops from my collection. Now, Tyler can attest to this. This is a small percentage of the pops that I have.
Ridiculous.
Like all throughout the fortress down here, there's pops like on all the walls and like in the music area of the fortress. I've got them in big Tupperware things. They're all over the place. So this is a small portion of them. These are some of the ones that we talked about on the episode. So you get to see them.
Yeah. I, of course, like you all talked about last week, I was in Europe.
Yeah.
Overseas. It was fantastic. I will talk more in detail about it as, the weeks are coming. If we're talking about something specific, like maybe next week's episode, we can draw some stories from where I was in Europe. I will tell you, though, we flew over Winterfell.
Very cool.
And it was really cool. But I'm telling you, man, it was a life-changing experience. They are doing some really great things in Europe. I mean, conservation-wise, their streets are clean. They're nice, kind people. It's beautiful over there. It's really cool.
Did you see Spider-Man while you were far from home?
I was far from home, and I did, when walking around Venice, I did see some of the areas they shot at. Like the bridge that he gets hit by the water monster. I walked over that bridge, saw some of the buildings, actually saw the, when he's climbing up, he's like, hey, I can help. He's trying to ask Mysterio if he can help.
He says, I'm strong, and I'm really sticky.
We walked right past that building.
Cool.
And those masks are all over the place.
Well, I'm impressed that you recognized it, because all the buildings kind of look the same to me. I wouldn't even know if I was standing right on it.
And I will say that Rome and Venice architecturally were my favorite places that we went. Because we saw Rome, we saw Venice, we saw London, England, we saw Dublin, Ireland, Edinburgh, Scotland, which was really cool. And I also got to spend a little extra time in New York because my flight was later, and I got to see a Broadway show. Yeah. So Waitress, which was fantastic.
Jeremy Jordan was in it.
The Jeremy Jordan as Dr. Pomander, I believe is how they pronounce his name. He's fantastic, man. Yeah. That musical episode of Flash and Supergirl, it just doesn't do him justice. He's better in it than he is in Newsies.
I was going to say, if you don't know who he is, he's on Supergirl.
Yes. He plays Win in Supergirl.
He did The Last 5 Years. That was a movie he did with Anna Kendrick. Really good.
And he's a Newsie.
Yeah. Big musical guy.
Yeah. It's fantastic, man. But like I said, I don't want to get too deep into it and take up too much time for a breakdown of this episode. So, I'm excited to talk more about it in the coming weeks. Yeah.
Can't wait to hear more about it, especially next week. So at the end of this episode, we'll tell you guys about what next week's episode is going to be, and I'm really excited about it, and I think you will be too. So be sure to stick around to the very end to hear us give you the scoop on next week.
Absolutely. So what are we going to get into this week?
Man, this week we're, of course, going to bring back your Talk Nerdy to Me segment where you share some nerd vocabulary with us. I think we're going to also give some suggestions on some entertainment for the people this week in our What You Watching segment. And we'll talk about news. Of course, San Diego Comic-Con was this past week. Tons of news.
Lots to unpack.
Oh, my goodness. So much. We could probably do an entire episode just on Comic-Con.
Absolutely.
So much to talk about. But we'll kind of summarize the big highlights of San Diego Comic-Con. And then we're going to break down, what is it this week, Tyler?
Stranger Things Season 3.
Oh, what a season it was.
Oh, my gosh, it was so good.
So good that I started watching it again, and I hardly ever rewatch things that close together, But there's so many things that you missed the first time.
Yeah, there is, because you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like, you know how it is. Something goes off on your phone, you get distracted for a little bit, and you overlook, because you think you're paying attention, or at least I'm like, oh, I can do both, and then I have no idea what's going on, and I have to rewind. So, moments like that, it's easy to miss things, and those little moments like that could be something really important.
Absolutely. And we will get to all of that after some words from our sponsors.
All right.
I was noticing that we are selling out like crazy with what we're wearing today.
Yeah, me too.
We've got 30 and Nerdy shirts, 30 and Nerdy hats, and our Dr. Peppers are in our new 30 and Nerdy koozies.
Yeah, It's so cool to have our logo on all of this stuff.
Everything we're using right now. And, it's great that we have this opportunity to have this kind of swag. And it comes to us from our dear friend, Zach, at Advertising Expressions. Now, if you have anything that you would like to get customized, whether it be a lanyard, an ink pen, a shirt, a hat, a koozie, a coffee mug for your church, school, podcast, whatever it is, Zach can get you taken care of. He is right here in Morristown, Tennessee at 2103 Morningside Drive. Give him a call. 423-586-3270. And if you are out of town, you can check them out at their website, www.advertising-expressions.com. Now, Zach is a nerd just like all of us, and tell him 30 and Nerdy sent you, and he will get you taken care of. Nerds and nerdettes, when we are nerding around, whether it's playing video games, working on the podcast, or watching shows, we get hungry. And when we get hungry, 90% of the time, we want Akita Express. Akita is a family-owned restaurant where they treat you like family and feed you till you're full. Full service portions and quality at a fast pace. They believe in providing the best customer service and fast food for a reasonable price. Now, this is fresh hibachi grilled every minute. And you need to check them out. If you're here in Morristown, you can find them at 3100 East Morse Boulevard. Give it a try and tell them 30 and Nerdy sent you. Alright, so I'm going to talk nerdy to you. This week's nerd word, it actually came to me while I was in Europe, and I quickly jotted it down and defined it myself. Nerd Jinx. I'm sure you've heard of the word hijinks, like we've got hijinks going on.
Yeah, many times.
Well, this is Nerd Jinx, boisterous fun between nerds. Example, anytime Josh and Tyler get together, you can always expect Nerd Jinx to happen, like goofing off and quoting nerdy movies to each other, picking on each other, or even have a wrestling match break out. So that's your nerd word for the week, Nerd Jinx. Use it in a sentence and see if people can guess what you're talking about.
And if they have no idea, you should tell them to listen to the show and they can learn more, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think it's time to move on to my favorite segment, and it's called
What You Watchin'?
Feels so good every time we do that.
I know.
Tyler, what you watching?
Well, Young Justice is back, the second half of Season 3. It did, the second half of Season 3 came out on 4th of July also.
Okay, but for anyone who doesn't know, can you tell us what Young Justice is?
Okay, Young Justice is the younger version of the Justice League. It's basically, and I hate to use this word because they hate this word in that world, it's the sidekicks.
Oh.
They all form their own team. Robin, Aqualad, Miss Martian, pretty much all Red Arrow. I mean, Kid Flash. I mean, they are sidekicks. I mean, they are the sidekicks. So
that's okay.
It is. And they started this a few years ago, and it actually ended with Season 2. But due to the Nerd Nation's constant clamoring for it and signatures, and just after it, the DC Universe picked up Young Justice and brought it back for Season 3. And, as a matter of fact, this past week at San Diego Comic-Con, they announced that Season 4 has been picked up. So we will get to see a Season 4 of Young Justice. And there's always, in between each season, a big time lapse. Like, he's Robin in Season 1, well, he's Nightwing in Season 2.
Ooh, I gotta check it out.
Season 3. You really need to check it out. So the second half of Season 3 came out on 4th of July, but I was a little busy with Stranger Things Season 3.
Yeah.
So I'm finally picking that back up. I'm 3 episodes into this part of the season, and it's good. I mean, I love their spin on some things. They changed the mythos of some characters, but it's really cool. It's a cool spin.
DC animation is where it's at.
It really
always
is.
Has been.
Absolutely. I
Always.
mean, if they could take the creativity and the drive that they have in the animated world and put it towards their big screen movies, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
They'd be fine. So, JD, what are you watching?
Okay, so my suggestion for this week is not a new thing, but I did watch it. I was just kind of hanging out down here in the Fortress one night and stumbled upon Scott Pilgrim vs. the World on Netflix, a movie I've seen dozens of times, but I was like, you know what? Another time won't hurt. So I watched it, and it had been a while, and it's a really great movie, which I already knew, but just super enjoyed watching it this time.
Still holds up. Absolutely.
So great. And I always notice something new every single time. So if you have not seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, check it out on Netflix. It's sort of like a video game world or something. Like Scott Pilgrim has these video game fantasies or something, but Scott Pilgrim falls in love with this girl named Ramona Flowers, and before he can really date her, he has to defeat her 7 evil exes. So it's
3 of them are big comic book stars now.
This is true. Oh, yep.
Evans is in it. Captain America. Captain Marvel's in it.
Brie Larson.
And Brandon Roth, however you pronounce it, was Superman in Superman Returns, and he's the Atom in the DC television universe.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure most of you have already seen it, but so if you have, go back and watch it again.
Yeah, it's great.
And before we move on, I have a request of you, Tyler. Okay. So another thing on Netflix is The Princess and the Frog. You have not seen The Princess and the Frog.
No, it's one of the Disney movies I haven't seen.
Okay. I want you to watch it before we sit down for next week's episode.
Okay.
And I want to hear your thoughts on this movie, okay? Because it was one of those movies that was felt like it came out at the wrong time. It felt like one of those 90s animated Disney movies.
In the little bit I've seen, in trailers and stuff, it almost kind of makes you think of The Rescuers.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so
I think that you'll really, really like it.
Well, my favorite voice actor's in it.
Jim Cummings?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but watch it. Let us know next week what you think about it.
I will definitely do that. And then you check out Young Justice.
I will at some point. I don't know that I'll get to it before next week, but I'll definitely watch it.
Well, I understand. You've got school coming back up soon.
Yeah.
And this summer has just flown by, hasn't it?
Yeah, and school starts next week, and I'm still trying to paint my new classroom.
Yeah.
Let alone set it up and decorate it and put all my posters and toys up and everything. So it's going to be a really busy next few days. So probably can't watch any cartoons until next month. So
we have a contest that is in full force.
Yeah.
It is called the Hot and Nerdy Contest. And it is from
kind of like me.
Sure. Wow. God. I'm more mad that I didn't think about that.
Snooze, you lose, pal.
Dang. So basically what you're going to have to do is you, listener, are going to have to go back to our inaugural episode, Nerdledge. Here are the rules of the contest. You have to like and share the post from our Facebook. So you'll go to our 30 and Nerdy Podcast Facebook page, find the Hot and Nerdy Contest post, like and share that post.
We'll pin that at the top so you can find it quickly.
Absolutely, we will. And what you also have to do is whatever social media you may have, follow us there. If you only have Facebook and Instagram, that's fine. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you don't have Twitter, that's fine. But if you do have Twitter, follow us there as well. And we have a trivia question for you to answer. Now, it's a two-parter. The question is, what is Tyler's favorite Marvel villain and Josh's favorite DC hero?
Ooh.
And it changed it up a little bit, threw him off. So you have to answer that question, follow us, like and share that post. You have to take pictures to prove that you followed us and email that along with the answer to 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. Now we do have 2 or 3 submissions already, and it goes till the end of this month. And we will announce the winner on our first episode of August. who will announce who won. So again, you have to like and share the post, follow us on all social media, answer the trivia question, take pictures to prove you followed us, and email them to 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. And what you will win is a 30 and Nerdy Podcast starter swag package. You know what swag stands for? Stuff we all get. You like that? Yeah. So that contest is in the heat of it right now.
So from what I understand here is that if you win the contest, you're going to get the stuff like that you and I already have.
That we already have, yes.
And a few other privileged people.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have this stuff before it's available to everybody else.
Yes, we will have a store up soon, but the winner of this contest will get everything that will be in the store already made available. After we announce the winner will have to then email us their address, and we will mail it out to you. You do not have to worry about shipping or anything. We will take care of that. All you have to do is win the game. So, nerds and nerdettes, gets to listening to that first episode, because we have a lot made up to go in your nerd package, and it's really cool stuff. Like, we just got our koozies today, and I'm excited. Very excited.
Me too.
So, you know what that means?
I think I do.
It's time for the news.
So much news. All the
there
news.
Is. So before we get to there's two things I want to talk about before we get to San Diego Comic-Con, and they are two things with the DC universe, because I know SanCon was very Marvel heavy. So I'll let you talk about your Marvel stuff if you let me get these two DC things out of the way.
I guess that's fair.
All right. In a recent interview, Zachary Levi stated that Black Adam will not cross over until Shazam 3. Which tells us a couple of things. One, it's a trilogy at least. Two, we are going to get Black Adam. And three, it's a trilogy at least. That's Zachary Levi's.
So that's two things there.
Yeah, two things. I wanted to say three because it's Shazam's 3, but then that begs the question, who the heck is the villain in 2? I mean, I don't know a lot about Shazam. I don't. I can admit that. So that'll be intriguing. It'll be interesting to see.
Sure. I mean, if they do...
Because we do know The Rock is Black Adam.
If they actually do make 2 and 3, I'm there for it. I'll see it because I love the first one.
They wanted to... And I think that DC is forever going to, for the next little while, follow the, let's see how the first movie does. Mm-hmm. Shazam did well.
Yeah. And, it was good.
They already knew there'd be a sequel, and now Zachary's saying that there'll be 3.
Okay.
So good. That's great. Second thing, James Gunn in a recent interview said that most of Suicide Squad, get this, will be filming in Atlanta, Georgia.
Like everything else these days.
Yeah. Atlanta's a big movie capital now. A lot of places are leaving Hollywood and coming to the South.
The taxes apparently are not as bad in Georgia as opposed to California and New York.
Well, it's the South. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful areas. And a lot more inexpensive property, I bet. And it's not that far away. We should audition for extras.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. So that takes us to San Diego Comic-Con. St. Diego Comic-Con, if you will. A lot of Marvel news. Before we get to the Marvel stuff, we have a new 007. Mm-hmm. It's a woman. It is the, dang it, I forgot her name, but she was in Captain Marvel. She played the co-pilot and the friend. And I cannot remember her name. And, of course, Young Justice 4. Now, a lot of people are upset about that, but you know what? It's 2019. 007 does not have to be a guy. It's a code. Doesn't mean that she's James Bond. 007 can be the code for any of the agents, if you ask me.
Her name is Lashana Lynch.
Lashana Lynch is the new 007. I'd be interested to see it. I'm intrigued.
I'm there for it.
Absolutely. So, you want to take the reins on San Diego Comic-Con Marvelverse?
Where to begin? So, lots of things confirmed for us. We have on May 1st of next year, the Black Widow movie will be released. We kind of already knew that was coming. It wasn't really very closely kept secret. In November of next year, we get the Eternals. and we also knew that one was coming.
Mm-hmm.
February 12th, 2021, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So it seems like Mandarin is going to be the villain for that movie.
Yeah.
Mandarin is an Iron Man villain, and they sort of referenced him in Iron Man 3, but they kind of, schmozzed that up.
The real Mandarin.
Yeah, they kind of...
He's like, I'm an actor.
Right. So they swerved us on that. So maybe the real Mandarin's going to show up. And he wears these 10 rings, and he has all these powers and things like that. So that'll be interesting. May 7th, 2021, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think this is
about time we get the multiverse.
This is going to be a wild one, I think.
It's going to be its first horror movie.
Yeah.
MCU's horror movie. And Scarlet Witch will show up in it.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah.
They did say that, didn't they? That'll be interesting. So after that, November 2021, Thor, Love and Thunder. And this one is really exciting because we're going to get Lady Thor finally. So Natalie Portman, she came out on stage at San Diego. She held up Mjolnir, the hammer.
Yes.
And they announced that she's going to play Lady Thor.
Well, it's only right.
Yeah, well, this happened in the comics. Jane Foster
yeah.
did play, or did turn she
worthy.
becomes worthy, and So, I'm excited
and you can
for
have
it.
2 Thors now, because he has his...
Stormbreaker. And he seems to like that one better, I think.
Because it's bigger. He's like, no, I'll take the big one, you take the small one.
And the fact that, if you think back to Avengers 2, when Cap, they were all trying to pick up the hammer, and Cap kind of moved it a little bit. He was, worried. And then in Endgame... Spoiler alert, when when Captain America holds out his hand and he catches Mjolnir, and Thor's super excited about it.
I knew it.
So
this will be intriguing.
It shows you that he's willing to let it go a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think
absolutely.
Lady Thor will be very cool.
Absolutely. And we get some shows.
Yeah, we got a Loki show
I'm
coming.
Excited.
I don't have the dates in front of me for that.
Well, I'd say most of it will be pretty late 2020, early 2021.
Yeah,
because the streaming service doesn't hit till November.
Right. I think the first Marvel thing is going to drop in February or May of next year.
Yeah.
So we do have a little bit of a wait, but that's okay.
And this is the Loki from Endgame that escaped.
Yes. So we're going to get that. We're going to get Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Post-Endgame stuff.
They walked up on the stage holding the shield and everything. Mm-hmm. So that'll be cool. We have Hawkeye. We have WandaVision with Scarlet Witch and Vision coming back.
Which I'm guessing has to be pre-death of Vision. Or they bring him back somehow.
I don't know. I mean,
I'll be
intrigued.
Have to see.
And then we're going to get an animated series, which I'm really excited about. The MCU trying their hand at, we talked about DC being so good. They better look out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So they're going to do the What If series. So this is certain situations that we've seen in the MCU. What if, a different character had been there, or, the good guys hadn't won, or who knows? Just what if anything.
My what if that I always want to see is, what if Howard Stark created the suit back in the early days of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Mm-hmm.
If he were the first Iron Man.
And you never know. They could give us that. So
I think it'd be cool. And we got a surprise. The Daywalker himself will return in Phase 5. Blade.
Yeah.
The vampire-killing Daywalker. I'm excited for this. However, it has been recast. Wesley Snipes is out, which he is fine with. He was very congratulatory towards him. Mahershala Ali.
And plus Wesley Snipes played Blade 21 years ago.
Yeah,
so I think it's
times.
time
after that third Blade movie, I wouldn't want to touch it again.
Let's put the katanas down and then move on, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that because I think we've been talking for a while, me, you, and Logan, is when will Blade come back? Yeah. So it's exciting, and now we're in a newer era where they can do some scary stuff with vampires. Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll get to see some team-ups like Blade and Wolvie, Blade and Spider-Man.
I want to see Blade and Spider-Man.
That'd be cool.
I do. And, they also did sort of confirm that we are going to get X-Men at some point.
And the Fantastic Four.
And the Fantastic Four. They did not tell us when, where, why, how, or any of that stuff, but that it's going to happen.
It is definitely going to happen.
Everyone expected
and
that
I think Feige will take care of them.
I think so too. I think everything that they have announced that they're working on, everything that's yet to come, it's all going to be awesome.
It'll be great, man, and I'm excited. Like we've said 1,000 times, it is a good time to be a nerd.
And that's the news.
Josh, you could play that sound effect 1,000 times in a row, and I would not get tired of it like I did the Avengers theme.
Hey, that sounds like a challenge to me.
I love that song, man. And it's just so simple, so 80s, just a beat and some synthesizer, and it's so fitting.
And when you hear that music, it's time for us to on Stranger Things Season 3.
Absolutely. We're going to go chapter by chapter and discuss what happened in those chapters. And this season, man, was just good. I mean, good.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I think it would keep me from saying it's my favorite season is there's something about the origin season.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way.
It definitely goes 1, 3, 2.
Definitely. And 3 is right on the
it's on the
verge.
cusp.
Yeah.
It really is. And like I said, I think the only thing that saves season 1 is it's the first.
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
We start chapter 1. Susie, do you copy? On June 28, 1984, Soviet generals give a group of scientists a year to develop technology to force open a portal to the Upside Down.
Yeah, I was uneasy right away because I see all these Russian science dudes in a lab messing with stuff that they probably shouldn't be, and then a guy gets melted from this big machine. Yeah. It's like, okay, so this is how we're starting this season.
And it really,
melting dudes.
It enforced the whole, Red Scare aspect that the 80s had. So then a year later, in the middle of summer of 1985 in Hawkins, the new Starcourt Mall has caused other town shops to close down, angering the townspeople. Mike and Eleven have developed a romantic relationship, and Hopper talks to Joyce seeking advice on how to split the two apart.
Mike and Eleven have come a long way since the snowball because it's like they had this awkward little, slow dance, little pop kiss,
dance,
and then they're full on in Eleven's room making out. I'm like,
yeah, they're children. Oh. The dad in you is probably like, get your hands off of her.
A little bit.
I really liked it, and I loved the Hopper talking to Joyce because he's like, all that it has been for 6 months is every day making out, and Mike, they have to break up, and she's like, oh, you can't do that.
Yeah,
you have to talk to them.
She's like, oh, sit down and you reason with them, and
talk about your feelings.
That does not work with Hopper.
No.
And he tried because he trusts Joyce, I think, because as we've said before, Joyce is like super mom, okay?
Yeah, she's great.
If something's wrong, Joyce knows. If one of the kids needs help, Joyce is there. She's super mom. And so I think he trusts her judgment.
Yeah.
And that's why he goes to her to vent about it and everything. And then she's like, okay, take this approach.
Write
these
down. Write your feelings down and then just read them.
That's like another language for Hopper. So he's like, okay, I tried it your way. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
He doesn't do feelings. And he's like, your grandmother's dying.
Yeah.
So then we got Dustin comes back from summer science camp and encourages Mike, Will, Lucas, Eleven, and Max to help set up a makeshift radio so he can contact Susie, a girl he met at camp.
Who totally exists.
Yes. At first you're like, okay.
Did you doubt it at first?
I didn't doubt it at first. I knew that she would come into play later. I didn't think that it would be a no-show that moment.
Dustin is not untrustworthy, I don't think. So
no, I think if he says
from the beginning, I was like, he's telling the truth. He's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, he's got himself a girlfriend. That's adorable.
And what does he say? Like, she's hotter than Phoebe Cates?
Yeah, hotter than Phoebe Cates. Thank Albert Einstein and hotter than Phoebe Cates. and they're like, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as, even Luke's like, there's no such thing as a perfect girl. And Max is like, excuse me?
Oh, man. Lucas is really not
bad.
Not good at the boyfriend thing.
He's really bad at this. One night, the power goes out across Hawkins, which shakes Will. And at a nearby abandoned steel mill, a strange entity appears. Nancy has started a job at a local paper under editor Tom Holloway and co-worker Bruce.
Bruce is a schmo.
It's Busey's son.
Gary Busey's son.
Jake Busey.
Yeah.
Who became famous in The Frighteners and Starship Troopers. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Became famous there. He looks just like him.
Yeah.
He even has the mouth and the teeth.
Yeah.
Well, and they immediately make you hate this man.
Yeah.
And he does it so well.
He calls Nancy Drew all the time.
And they're not. Well, I mean, it's late '80s. You know, they didn't take women serious then.
I was glad when he died.
Oh, I know.
Spoiler alert.
So she secures a tip about a strange event. Dustin records a strange transmission coming through his transmitter of a man speaking in Russian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he intercepts that with that big ham radio tower.
Cerebro.
Yeah.
So it's funny, I was talking earlier at the beginning of the episode about, like, you know, if you look at your phone and you'll miss something on the show and you think you're paying attention.
Yeah.
So I totally missed the Russian coming through on Cerebro.
Really?
Until he was sitting down talking to Steve about it. Remember at the booth, and he's like, I intercepted a Russian transmission. So, like, I was like, did he really? Yeah. So I missed that, and I had to go back. But
so let's, nerds, put the phones down.
You got to put it away or you're missing stuff. I'm the worst about it.
And I loved that scene because they introduce Robin, who is
Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter.
Yes, she favors Uma.
So I never thought anything about it. You were the one that told me, like, oh, you know, her parents are famous. You know who she is. And
thank God she looks like Uma and not Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I saw her again after you told me that, I was like, oh, I can't even not think about it now. That's Uma Thurman.
So later, Billy drives by the mill, hits something, and is dragged inside.
I still hate Billy.
Yeah.
It's like the minute the thing with Mrs. Wheeler, like, all that stuff started again, I was just like,
let's just talk about how uncomfortable that was. So there's this epic 80s poolside scene. First off, public pools. I mean, those are a thing of the past now.
There's so many people in those pools. I would not want to be there.
You know, like, when we were, even though we have a pool, you know, Mom had this summer program that she ran for special education, and every Tuesday and Thursday, we went to Panther Creek, which had a big, huge, massive public pool. And I just always had issues because somehow, some way, every time I'd get in that pool, I'd find a Band-Aid floating near me.
Oh,
and it was
no.
And there's, like, one of my biggest, and I'm trying not to gag, pet peeves is, like, wet tissues and wet napkins. It's disgusting.
So you had moist Band-Aid?
Stop. Don't ever do that again. Never do that. Oh, gosh.
We need Zach, we need a hat that says #moist Band-Aid.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Oh, he's going to do it now. I know it. He's going to do it.
Now he'll do it.
That's going to be the #1 bestseller on the shop.
Store.
Moist Band-Aid.
Oh, God. As long as it has the 30 and Nerdy logo branding.
Oh, my goodness. We got to get control of this thing.
Oh, man. So they have that epic Billy's walking slowly and all the
moms are taking their sunglasses off.
But he focuses on Karen Wheeler, Mike's mom, because they hinted at that in season 2.
Yeah.
But it's pretty serious because he even offers private swimming lessons at a hotel.
Is that what they're calling it these days?
Yes. So that was weird. Like, just odd.
Yeah. So good first episode.
Absolutely, it was. It hooked you. You were left on. You could definitely tell that it's been a year.
Oh man, and like the kids are grown-ups practically.
They've grown quick.
The boys especially, they're all tall and their voices have changed. It's like 11.
Yeah.
L. Can we please play D&D?
Yeah. Poor Will.
I know. We'll get to Will.
D&D.
We'll get to Will.
On to Chapter 2, The Mallrats. Billy is dragged into the Upside Down where he encounters his doppelganger. And that was kind of cool.
Yeah, so this is like the Mind Flayer communicating with him. The Mind Flayer has possessed him now and is trying to show him what he wants. He's like, "What do you want? What do you want from me?" build what you see, and what he sees is
an army
of people.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, I have to admit, when it said build what you see and then flashed him back into the real world and there's this empty road, I was like, you want him to build a highway?
You want him to pave a road?
You want him to build a road?
Mind Flayer Avenue?
I mean, what do you want? Like a sign? So, instead of having a heart-to-heart, Hopper tries to distance Mike from Eleven. Later, Eleven and Max run into Mike, Will, and Lucas at the mall, where Eleven breaks up with Mike.
Man, I remember being a middle school boyfriend and getting like
broken up with.
Oh, like you lied to me about what time you.
You mean you were watching Dragon Ball Z instead of talking to me?
Yeah, I'm dumping you.
I'm dumping you.
Like, that was a very good job of capturing what that's like.
That was a good. They captured that moment really well.
And poor Mike is like, I don't understand. What did I do wrong? Why is she treating me this way?
She's like, why do you lie?
It's like, oh, they're different species.
Yeah,
they don't make sense.
Like, you're really going to take advice from Lucas, who's been broken up with 5 different times by Max.
11 kind of played dirty pool though.
She spied on her.
Was that on this episode?
She broke the rules.
Yeah, she used the power to spy on the boys and see what they were doing? Yeah. No good.
That's a shame. Nancy and Jonathan follow up on her lead and find Miss Driscoll had caught a rat that was eating her fertilizer.
Yeah. And we saw in the last episode, I think we didn't mention it though, like the rats had been eating the fertilizer and they start having like convulsions and stuff.
Yeah.
And they...
So like these rats have basically... So, like, at the beginning, you see the dust. What was left of the Mind Flayer part that possessed Will.
Yeah.
And it starts to, when the Russians are messing with stuff, it starts to activate.
Yeah.
Kind of. And I couldn't tell, one thing that I actually could not make sense of was each dust particle possessing the rat? Blowing it up? I mean, it just...
I guess it was like the Mind Flayer was like tearing the rat apart from the inside out.
To make a little...
Yeah. So he could take the goo of the rat and animate it and build it into a big goo monster.
Mind Flayer. He basically makes a real world of himself. When they are not looking, the rat implodes into an amorphous organic mass and escapes. Hopper asks Joyce on a date.
Yeah, he was like feeling really good and confident because his little stern talk with Mike worked. Yeah. And he's like, driving down the road, singing and blasting his tunes, feeling good. And he goes in there to ask Joyce out.
And he's singing that song from the sequel season, the Jim Croce song.
Yeah. Don't mess around with Jim.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Jim Hopper. But Joyce misses the date because she's with one of my favorite minor characters,
Mr. Clark.
I love Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark is the best.
And it's funny, me and Maddie were watching through this, and while she's like reading the books on what's wrong, like magnetism, while Joyce is like basically going back to school, reading all these big textbooks about magnetism, I immediately said, you know who would be very helpful is Mr. Clark. Flashes, and there's a scene with Mr. Clark. I was like, I'm going to quit my job and write for Stranger Things because I called it.
It's summertime. They had to find a way to fit him in.
Yeah, they really did,
because
he's just a great addition.
He's everything that I wish I could be in a teacher. You'll
get there. He's also been teaching longer than you.
Has he? How do you know?
He's older.
Well, I guess that's true.
So, Dustin, with the help of Steve and his co-worker, new character Robin, Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's daughter, translate the Russian sentence, and Steve discovers that the song Daisy Bell, heard in the background of the Russian message, is identical to the music played from a toy horse in the mall, suggesting that the message originated locally rather than from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
You immediately in these scenes kind of figure out Robin's character. She's very sarcastic. But you can't put a finger on why she's keeping tally of Steve's strikeouts with girls.
He's not doing well.
He's not doing well. He has fallen from the throne as King Steve in the past, and I immediately loved this character, Robin, because she's like, hey, dingus, dingus is her word.
Yeah.
And I love when she's like, how many kids are you friends with?
She didn't really start to grow on me until she got so into solving the mystery and everything and deciphering
She's
the
walking
code.
around with Dustin. She's like, I can't believe I'm going to agree with him. Russian spies.
Yeah, I like her now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so meanwhile, Billy struggles with nightmares during lifeguard duty and guided by a strange voice.
Billy's having problems. Too
poor
bad. Couldn't have
Bill.
happened to a better guy.
Poor Billiam. And he keeps basically flashing in and out of the Upside Down. He abducts fellow lifeguard Heather Holloway and takes her to the mill to be possessed by the entity.
We didn't talk about one of my favorite parts of this episode. 11 and Max are running around the mall. 11 is so impressionable. Have you noticed this, by the way? Like, she meets her sister in season 2 when she changes. Yeah. And then, now she's hanging out with Max at the mall and
they're shopping
she's
and
all
doing
different
girly
and
things.
everything. No, but my favorite part, do you remember Stacy from...
Yes, who said no to Dustin?
The Snowball?
Yes.
That was...
Stacy.
Stacy.
I spit on your name.
So, Stacy was the girl there that 11 made her drink explode. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the best. I saw that girl. I was like,
fantastic.
Oh, that's that Stacy girl.
She was mean to Dustin.
And then, right in her face.
You had an entire diatribe in the season 2 breakdown about Stacy's.
Yeah.
So that was best moment of the season.
Nothing good about anybody named Stacy.
And we move on. The Case of the Missing Lifeguard, Chapter 3.
This whole episode is one big argument, by the way. Don't you think?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get there.
Yes, we'll get to it. So, actually, this is where it happens. Max encourages 11 to use her powers to spy on Mike. Later, when spying on Billy, though, he senses her presence, and 11 sees Billy subduing Heather. And the fact that he senses her presence when she's spying in that, we've called it hallway, in that medium area, shows that he's not just Billy. It kind of shows that there's a psychokinetic power there as well.
Right.
And that was kind of a creepy moment because he just turns around and, Billy's already a creep.
Yeah.
And a jerk. But, seeing the slow possession of him, the dark eyes, because you can also kind of see, and I don't know if this was, just the way Dacre played it, he'll cry at times. You'll see tears, almost like Billy's in the background, let me go. Please.
He does a really good job. I hate the character, but he does a great job.
Which, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And funny, what's funny is when she's spying on the guys, the entire time Will's in the corner, can we play D&D?
Poor Will.
Setting up a game that they don't want to play.
Okay, I'm just gonna bring it up. Okay. And I may be looking way, way too much into it. I don't know. Okay, but you remember the moment when Will and Mike are arguing, and Mike is so upset because he did the whole... Was this the Will the Wise episode? When he was okay. So, he dresses up in his wizard outfit. He wants to play D&D and everything, and they kind of shoot it down and make fun of it, and he gets upset, and he tries to leave. But Mike says something like, I can't help it that you don't like girls. And Will was, really kind of... His reaction to that was he was really taken aback by that, and it really hurt for him to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they trying
I don't know.
to hint around to us? I mean...
I don't know.
There were other things...
I don't think they would have done that without a reason. I think we may get to that in season 4, hopefully.
It could just be okay, you're not as mature as us yet.
And that's all it could be.
Maybe he's sad that he doesn't have a girlfriend. I don't know, but
yeah, maybe he doesn't like girls.
He did make the comment
he's 13 years old, 14 years old,
and that's I just don't know.
At that age, it's okay to just want to play D&D, but Mike's not.
There was he made the comment about. Today is a day with no girls or something like that.
Yeah.
He was really adamant about the no girls thing. So
yeah, I think it's more of a Spanky and the Little Rascals.
Yeah,
I don't think it's much as it's not attracted to girls. It's I'm 14 years old.
Yeah,
Like, I don't like girls.
It could mean something. It may not mean anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I definitely think that argument was created for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think that those words were said for a reason. The Duffers don't do anything
by accident.
Because you know the Duffers and the details.
Yeah.
So we move on, and
oh, by the way, rip R.I.P. Castle Byers, because Will had a tantrum and broke it down.
Destroys Castle Byers.
Yeah.
So,
Joyce and Hopper, maybe? What's going on with them?
No, actually.
Well, yeah, because they sneak into the lab, yeah?
Not yet. Nancy and Jonathan go back to Miss Driscoll's house, and she's feral. She's going crazy.
She's eating the...
And they subdue her, and she's like, I gotta go back. I've gotta go back.
Yeah.
And
that old lady that plays Miss Driscoll does a great job. She's a really good actress.
Oh,
yeah, that moment when she's eating the soil and she looks up and she looks all crazy and everything. Yeah, really good horror elements
absolutely.
To this show.
Robin happens across the clues to decode the message indicating something will happen at the mall that night. That night, Dustin, Steve, and Robin spy on armed Russian men covering a shipment to the mall.
Do you remember the scene when they saw a guy that they thought was one of the Russians, and they follow him?
He's a jazzercise.
And they have the jazzercise class going on, and Dustin and Steve are just like in awe, their mouths hanging open, watching the
women,
the 80s jazzercise stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was so
moms.
Funny. That was hilarious.
While Hopper is angry at Joyce for missing their date, aware she is considering moving and leaving Hawkins, Joyce reiterates what Clark told her and looks for signs of such a device at the abandoned Hawkins lab where Hopper is attacked.
Yeah, why didn't the dude that attacked Hopper just kill him? Like, you're leaving a loose end there.
I think he wanted to establish a dominance. Like, I could have killed you. But I'm stronger for beating the living
to scare him and tell him to stay away?
Yeah, it's more of like, I'm not going to kill you.
Man, these Russian dudes are serious, though. I don't know why they didn't just kill him and get it over with.
Well, he might have
not have to worry about it.
He might have thought he did kill him. He might have thought, I'll beat the living crap out of him. He's not coming back. 11 and Max find Billy and Heather apparently okay with Tom and his wife. Billy sneers as they leave, which Will senses. Billy and Heather then knock out her parents.
Yeah, sorry.
Now, Heather, the lifeguard he abducted and possessed, is the daughter of Nancy and Jonathan's boss.
Yeah.
Yes, and so they then possess the mom and dad.
Sorry about that, Janet and Tim.
Tom. So we move on to chapter 4.
The sauna test.
This was an exciting episode.
I loved this episode. I just watched this one again today.
This was the one where we said they could have made that a mid-season finale.
Yeah.
And waited a month or two before they released 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Oh, people would have been crazy, though, I think.
But I'm sorry, that's what we had to go through.
Yeah.
Remember before streaming?
You're right.
When mid-season finale... I mean, we still have to go through it some, like Supernatural, whenever they do their mid-season, I'm just like, dang it!
Walking Dead, when it was still good.
Well, yeah, when it was still good. Heather take her parents to the mill where they are also possessed. Later, Nancy and Jonathan are fired by Tom. Still curious, though, Nancy goes to visit Miss Driscoll at the hospital. Tom, we can see, is sweating and hot. He's possessed, and he's angry. And later on, 11 and Max reunite with Mike, Will, and Lucas after hearing about Will's latest sensing. The group determine that the Mind Flayer still resides in the real world, having possessed Billy.
We're lucky to have those kids, man. They're really smart. So I think that next time that, if I'm one of those kids, I'm going to think that every time we get a hunch that something's going on,
go with it.
Normally it's right.
Yeah.
We should go find the adults right away.
We should just go with it.
Hey, Levin, where's your dad? Let's go find Hopper.
Yeah.
And
instead of waiting and trying to do it on our own, it's like, all right, we need to get the band together. Something's wrong. Something's amiss. Let's get the team, and we'll take care of this.
Maybe after this season, they'll think of that.
Yeah. That night, the five trap Billy in the pool sauna, confirming he is possessed. Billy gains superhuman strength and breaks free at the same time that Nancy witnesses Miss Driscoll transform as well. And that was really a cool, scary scene.
Oh, yeah, and I loved 11 versus Billy.
It was really...
Oh, man.
It was a superhero fight.
She threw him through a wall.
Yeah. But we did see... Now I have to ask this. When he is freaking out and he's being hurt by the heat of the sauna, because we know from season 2 the Mind Flayer hates the heat.
Right.
So, and then you hear, Max, I'm sorry. It's made me do things, Max. I've done things, Max, I'm sorry. Is that Billy?
No.
So you think it's a ploy?
He's reaching for the
glass.
the piece of the wall whatever it was.
Yeah, he is.
He was reaching for that, and that was before Will detected him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right before, so maybe, I don't know.
But it's kind of left with like was it him? Or was it, because like it's kind of like, remember in season 2 when Will's the Mind Flayer fully, but he's still tapping the SOS stuff?
Yeah.
So like, is it reversed? Is it Billy saying, I'm sorry, but the Mind Flayer's physically reaching for him?
Could be that. I don't know. Either way, I still don't like Billy. So.
Hopper recalls seeing the Russian man that attacked him, Grigory. Previously meeting with Mayor Klein, Hopper and Joyce forced Klein to reveal that Grigory works for the owners of Starcourt Mall, who have brought up additional abandoned properties around Hawkins. Klein then alerts Grigory as Hopper and Joyce search for those locations. And
we hadn't talked about Mayor Klein.
Mayor Klein.
He's a tool.
Carrie Elways.
Yeah.
The Princess Bride. Saw. Robin Hood Men in Tights. I mean, I love this actor.
Yeah.
But he's really playing... He's also in Twister. Mayor Klein's a lot like his character in Twister.
I was actually going to ask, and I don't even for a second want to get into a political discussion here, but do you think that there are some like certain things about him that he borrowed from our president?
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that was part of it.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So then at Starcourt, Dustin, Steve, and Robin enlist Erica.
Erica's the worst.
10-year-old Lucas's sister enlist Erica to break into the storeroom, finding too late that it is an elevator that takes them down below the mall.
You can't spell America without Erica.
I think she's a great addition.
Oh, I can't stand her.
She's sassy.
She annoys me so much. Well, I don't like sassy kids like that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that as a teacher because
you teach those kids.
I love them, but I just don't always like them when they're sassy. Don't be sassy, okay? Don't be sassy.
I loved her because I saw a lot of Peyton at that age.
Oh no,
sassy and just not
Peyton's his sister.
Any flack whatsoever from any older boy. She just, I don't care who you are.
She was like unnecessarily sassy though.
I don't know. I think
she's so smart.
Well, she's very smart, and I think that comes with having an older brother who wants nothing to do with you. Like, you learn pretty quick into season 2 that he wants nothing to do with his little sister. And she calls him nerd all the time. Billy then regroups with Heather at the mall, where dozens of other Hawkins citizens have been possessed, so he's building
the mill,
his
you
army.
mean?
The mall. The mill, yes. Where we see that his army's been built. And Billy is consoled by the possessed Heather, and he goes, she could have killed me.
But not us.
Yeah. So, and it was just this, that episode, man, like I'll say it 1,000 times, it could have been amidst, you had the fight between 11 and Billy, you had the elevator going down, you had Erica getting enlisted, you've got, the run, after the fight, Billy runs away and screaming.
Every story in the story, all the different characters, they were at a moment where there was tension or unrest or something was unresolved. It was a really great way to call it this is the middle of the season,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that and it begs that, I don't want to get too much of a tangent, but it begs the belief that, is it then ruined by then going to the next episode immediately?
Well, you don't have to go to the next episode immediately.
You could treat, like I listen to this podcast, The Upside Down or something like that. It's a Stranger Things podcast. The dad, it's a dad and daughter combo who run the podcast, and the dad watches it weekly, as TV usually is watched. And so he's like, I'm like freaking out and on pins and needles, but my daughter binged it. He doesn't believe in binging. He watches it the way that we...
Maybe you should do that.
I think I will with season 4. I think I will, just to kind of...
You better stay off Facebook, boy, because those memes are brutal.
Those memes are brutal. So that was the Sauna Test, Chapter 4. Like we said, you easily could stop there, give it a couple weeks, and come back because it was mid-season finale.
Or you could just move right on to it and find out what happens.
Like we are.
Yeah.
Chapter 5, The Flayed. Hopper and Joyce discover one of the abandoned properties has a hidden laboratory. They get into a fight with Grigori and escape with Dr. Alexei, a Russian man who helped build the gate to the Upside Down. Alexei only speaks Russian, so Hopper decides to go to one of my favorite minor characters again, Murray, who can help translate. I love Murray.
I love Murray in Season 3.
You didn't like him in 2?
No, not as much. But he was a lot of fun in this season.
I loved him in Season 2 because you see real quick that it's like he sees past bullcrap pretty quickly. And
well, he seems like this crazy conspiracy guy, but it turns out he's right about most of
the Russian presence. He's right that to be afraid of them. He's right to hide. He's right to, I guess, that they're probing Hawkins.
Yeah.
He was right the entire time. So Grigori tries to follow and loses the trail. Dustin, Steve, Robin, and Erica hide from Russian men unloading the boxes from the elevator and follow them out after they leave, discovering a massive Russian base under Starcourt Mall.
And they find those big containers with the green goo in it.
Yes.
And they don't really tell you what the green goo is.
It powers the machine, I'm guessing, but I don't know what the green goo is. It's like they didn't tell you what the substance is. They just tell you that it's a canister.
Yeah.
They don't tell you. You see them using it as a refill. I think a little later on. But, yeah, they don't really explain the green goo. Nancy and Jonathan meet with Will and the others and confirm their experiences from the previous night. They decide to let Miss Driscoll lead them to where Billy is. While the other children wait downstairs, Nancy and Jonathan find Miss Driscoll gone and an enraged Tom and Bruce waiting for them. Nancy and Jonathan fight the two, and upon killing them, their bodies dissolve into organic masses, which join together to form a beast.
Yeah, those scenes were gross, man. When the people blew up and turned into the mind flayer goo.
Like the physicality, the physical entity of the mind flayer, almost like he built himself for the real world.
I haven't seen anything that gross since I saw a moist Band-Aid.
Oh, no. Dang it, man. Why?
This is going to be a thing.
Also, Jake Busey's performance in those scenes. Like, walking down the hallway in the hospital like, Nancy. Terrifying.
Just being a creep.
Yeah, he's a good creep.
Mm-hmm.
Move on to Chapter 6. E Pluribus Unum. And I loved this title because, I don't know if you know this, but I played the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I had heard that, actually.
And that's a line in Wizard of Oz when Oz is giving the Scarecrow his degree. He says, in honor of blah, 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 E Pluribus Unum. So when I saw the title, I was like, hey, cool.
You may not know this, but I was the Cowardly Lion in that same show.
You were?
Yeah, but I didn't have a line about E Pluribus Unum. So.
No, you didn't. As the Mind Flayer attacks Nancy and Jonathan in the hospital, Will senses its presence, and 11 arrives in time to overpower it. It slinks off into the sewers. That was pretty epic.
I have a note here, and I'm trying to figure out what it means.
What's it say?
This is the second biggest argument over a strawberry Slurpee that I've ever seen.
Oh, that's
and I think I'm just kidding. It's the only argument I've ever seen over a Slurpee. But what was that? What is that about?
That's back at Murray's. Alexei
that's right.
says, "I'll tell you everything you need to know."
Right. Okay, I'm sorry, my mistake. I'm getting ahead. Yeah. Okay, all right.
That fight, like she's slinging that thing around, and it's just really epic.
That whole scene was so
that whole
intense.
Scene, like it smacks Nancy up against a wall.
Yeah, breaking through the ceiling and then through the doors and everything. Yeah, that was nuts. But 11 is a champ, and Mike is really protective of 11 because he like remember when in the sauna test, like Billy broke out and he grabbed 11 by the throat and picked her up, and Mike comes over and smashes a pole over his back. And he was trying to also protect her against the mind flayer too.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
he's being a good boyfriend.
He loves her. Which I've got to say this. I'm going to say a dirty word. I loved the scene. We've already skipped it. I wanted to talk about it then, but I'm going to say a dirty word. She's still, and Millie Bobby Brown does such a great job at the evolution of 11. Because, like, in season 1, she barely knows any words. You know, it's more like papa, friend. Season 2, she knows more, but it's still broken. Even in season 3, she knows even more words, but it's still broken. She doesn't know all the words. And so when she breaks up with Mike, she doesn't just say, I'm breaking up with you. She says, I dump your
Oh, my goodness.
And I loved that. And it goes to, I mean, Millie Bobby Brown's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about that and everything. So, where was I? Okay. We are under the Starcourt Mall. Steve and Robin are captured, drugged, and interrogated.
Right. And that turns out later to be really funny stuff.
Because they're drugged with, I guess it's like an 80s version of the truth serum. It's supposed to make them so drunk that they'll talk about anything.
And they do.
And they do. Like, Steve even's like, oh, you know, my friend Dustin, he lives at blah, blah, blah. This is his last name, you know. But they don't know that. Only Robin's like, Steve, you should. And they're giggling the whole time.
And poor Steve just gets the snot kicked out of him. Like, even the USS Butterscotch isn't enough to get him out of this one.
However, he won a fight. Remember, he beat the crap out of that one Russian guard.
Go, Steve.
And
I still love
like,
Steve.
You did it! You won a fight! Then he gets the crap beaten out of him again.
Yeah.
Hopper and Joyce learn from Alexei of the Russians' efforts to build gate machines to access the Upside Down, including one under Starcourt Mall. Hopper calls Dr. Owens to warn the government. And this is the argument you were talking about, the strawberry slushie.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
Alexei loves strawberry slushies.
Yeah.
And he's like, I will not help.
Because he got cherry and wanted strawberry or vice versa.
And we get to see a witty side of Hopper in this scene. Because he's like, oh, fine, you don't want to talk, go. And they're like, no, Jim, you can't. He's like, no, go. So he gives him the keys to the car. He unlocks the handcuffs. He opens the door. He lets him go outside. And he shuts the door and he goes, he is terrified that he'll be killed by the Russians. He needs us more than we need him. He'll come back in a little bit and he'll tell us everything we need to know. And so you think he's driving off and you're like, oh, come on, Hopper. Then he stops the car.
Hopper's a pro, man. He knows what he's doing.
He just stands there looking at him and he's like, strawberry's fine. You know, like, it's good too. Because Hopper's right. So, Grigori corners Klein at the Independence Day Fair, demanding that he step up his efforts to find Hopper's group. And this is, you know, he puts him in that twisty carnival ride. I don't do carnival rides. I had an experience as a kid, and I do not
I've seen one too many Final Destination movies.
Exactly. If you can put up a ride in less than a day and take it down in less than a day, I ain't getting on it. I don't ride the Dollywood rides the first year they're out. I give it
that's crazy.
I give it like time.
Dolly has the means to make sure everything's done right.
It's always been a thing for me.
Dolly's not a carny, okay?
To find the Mind Flayer, 11 uses the same method of accessing Billy's memories as she had used with her own mother. After seeing his troubled childhood, she finds the Eye of the Storm at the steel mill. As she pulls out of his mind, Billy grabs her, and the Mind Flayer senses her location in Hopper's cabin. Across town, those possessed by the Mind Flayer converge on the mill and like they basically start imploding.
Oh man!
And forming into the mind.
This
Flayer
scene
monster.
was like, it was really something. It was so well done. The special effects look great. It looks so
Disturbing.
realistic. It's really gross.
It was disturbing.
I was like, I have a pretty weak stomach already, so it doesn't take a lot to make me kind of like cringe and you know. So,
but like
this especially,
they'd start walking and then shake and explode.
Yep, and just fall down into the
fall
goo
into
and
sludge. And it was, and the only one that didn't do it was Billy. Billy's still like this key element. Everyone else died. Yeah. And Billy's like
the Mind Flayer's left hand guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right hand guy.
Right hand guy.
Yeah. So I think we skipped something pretty important. Dustin killed a guy, didn't he? You have to think about it that much, so maybe I'm mistaken.
No. What?
So Robin and Steve are tied together, and they're, joking, and
he's shocked.
He came in with that thing and stabbed that dude.
With the shocking
thing. He killed him, didn't he?
I don't know. Maybe he's dead.
He looked pretty dead to me.
Rick killed a guy.
Exactly. That's the
killed a guy.
Dustin just killed a guy. He should probably get out of Hawkins for a while. Technically, everybody should get out of Hawkins. It's a terrible place.
It's a terrible town. And it's almost as terrible as Will's hair. Like,
oh,
I
poor
want to look
Will.
at Joyce and go, cut the kid's hair.
They put a bowl on his head and cut
He's
what
14.
sticks out at the bottom.
I mean, we're getting closer to the 90s. Cut the kid's hair.
Oh, man.
And I have long hair. Like, I'm a fan of long hair. But the bowl cut, the straight oh, gosh, it's terrible. Moving on to Chapter 7. The Bite. 11 and the others determine the Mind Flayer is coming for her since she was the only one who previously closed the gate. Will senses the Mind Flayer approaching and it attacks them before they can flee. This is a pretty epic scene because the tentacles are...
I thought that this happened earlier, so I was talking about something that was... I was referring to this. I had my scenes mixed up. But yeah, the tentacles are coming in through the ceiling and everything, and 11's holding everything off. Mm-hmm. Really cool scene, really intense scene. And I noticed like it felt like it went on for a long time. It probably didn't, but I was so uneasy and I was so worried and all the tension. I was like, oh my God, I just want this to be over with. I just want him to get out of this.
Get out of there. And one of them hacks off a piece of the limb. I think it's Jonathan with the axe.
I think so.
You
notice that these kids are really good at like fortifying places when monsters are coming?
Well, they've learned.
They did this
games,
like at Will's
D&D,
house,
being a nerd,
at the bus in season 2. Now this,
I mean they've lived that life. I mean, that's why you always want a nerd with you in these terrible situations because their first thought is, how did I survive this in the video game I just played, or how did I survive this in D&D, or what would this character do? Like me and Logan say. I don't know how we'd really act, but me and Logan say, if a zombie apocalypse were to happen, we're two people you'd want to have because we've seen it all, we've played all the games, so we know what we would do. These kids feel the same way. They're like, oh, we got to fortify, we got to get our weapons, we got to fight back. She gets bit here, the bite, and it's like a tentacle mouth. It kind of reminded me of the graboids in the old Tremors movies. Yeah. The tongues that come out that have, or Alien.
Yep.
So it bites her. And we don't know the full effect of the bite just yet, but we just know that she's been injured. Later, Dustin and Erica drag a drugged Steve and Robin to the movie theater in Starcourt. And, fun story. What did they see?
I bet I know what your fun story is.
Okay.
They saw Back to the Future. Back to the Future was released on July 3rd, 1985, and this scene is taking place July 4th, 1985, so it's very accurate.
Very accurate. And you looked that up, didn't you?
I surely did.
You did your you have your PhD.
I did my nerd search.
Foreshadowing.
Oh.
You do have your PhD, so I am not shocked that you knew that. But it's just, that goes to show the Duffers know the details.
Yes, those details are important. They probably learned how to do that from some other movies they've seen in their lives.
Breakfast Club and It and Stand By Me and The Goonies.
And others too, I'm sure.
11's group break into a hardware store to help treat her wounds and gather more supplies. Suddenly, Dustin contacts them over walkie-talkie to explain their situation before he loses battery power.
That reminds me of something. Like, as much as I love the Steve and Dustin duo, because I love both of those characters, I really miss Dustin being with the party, with the other kids.
It took him away from the party this season.
I didn't like that as much.
It was rough. I think they had to add that whole aspect of the parties divided, but they couldn't do it with Will again because, good Lord, we've done it twice. Mm-hmm. So keep Will with the party this season, but who needs to be gone? Someone who's been a staple in the party this entire time. Right. But also in season 2, Dustin spent some time away.
They had such a positive reaction from the fan base to Dustin and Steve in season 2 that they had to,
then making it this group of 4, almost like his own party that he's the leader of. Steve, Erica, Robin, and Dustin. And Dustin's kind of that lead. Even though he's the younger one out of Steve and Robin, they listen to him. He's like, Dustin, this is going on. Yeah, they listen to Dustin. And that really, I love that scene between Dustin and Erica where she's like telling all these dates, all these numbers.
You're a nerd too.
And he's like, you're a nerd, Erica. And she's like, I am not. And he's like, funny thing, you love My Little Pony. Let's talk about that. Goes through this entire basically saying like My Little Pony would not exist without things like Dungeons and Dragons. There's dragons in My Little Pony. There's bad guys. There's heroes. There's villains. There's a big story arc. Nerd. And you're good at math. You know all these politics. You follow politics at 10 years old. Like you're a nerd. And she goes, okay, how do you know all about My Little Pony? He goes, because Erica, I'm a nerd, and you're one too.
Yeah.
And she can't say anything.
But back. I still don't like Erica.
Gosh. That's okay. I don't think you're supposed to like every character.
Erica and Billy are both just unforgivable for me. And Stacy's number 1 at the top of the list. Stacy. How's that Coca-Cola there, Stace?
like Lucifer, Stacy. Barely under that rung.
I don't know. Stacy may be like
Stacy's the worst.
Stacy's on the throne and Lucifer's below that.
11 uses her powers to check on Dustin, so the group takes off for the mall. Steve admits that he has feelings for Robin, but she comes out to him as a lesbian.
Poor Steve.
Poor Steve, but I thought it was well done.
It was. It was very, very good.
I loved the whole...
It was a swerve for sure.
It was a huge swerve.
They're really setting you up to think that like Robin is all into
finally
Steve.
Steve's got a good girl.
And she's like, in high school, I used to watch you. And
they set you up, and then I love the delivery of, I watched you not because I liked you, because I wanted to be you. I was in love with a girl, and I wanted to learn everything from King Steve. I wanted to be you. And this was who I was crazy about. This was who I was in love with in that class. And he just...
Another swerve.
I love it takes him a second. He's like, but she's a girl.
She's like,
yeah. Steve. And then he's like, oh. And then he immediately becomes a bro. You could do so much better than her. She can't sing. She wants to be a star in Nashville. She can't carry a tune in a bucket. She's like, and they have this bromance. Mm-hmm. And I was like, way to go, Steve.
And way to go, Robin.
Way to go, Duffers. I mean, it really adds that this was the late 80s. In a small towns of Hawkins, Indiana. You think Robin can really come out there and
Times were very different.
Times were way different. Hopper's group make their way to the fairgrounds in Hawkins to find the children, where they are spotted by Klein, who alerts the Russians. Alexei is fatally shot by Grigori in front of Murray. It was sad.
Yeah, the silencer.
He won the Woody Woodpecker, and Murray was introducing him to American culture, and kind of like you got like this. Well, there's a bromance bonding, and like Alexei will get out of this and stay in Hawkins and be a part of the group, and
And wasn't that moment in slow motion too?
Yes.
And like you knew,
you see Grigori walking
Yeah.
towards him, and he's holding the Woody Woodpecker he just won,
puts the silencer on the
Yes.
gun.
and just.
Oh,
And they don't even do like the noise. You just see Alexi just make the move of like I've just been shot.
yeah.
And Murray's like Alexi.
Hence the silencer.
Yeah, and it's so sad because you're just like, dadgummit, I just started liking this.
Every time
guy.
you start to, it's like Bob Newby all over again. You
Yeah.
start to love a character, and they take him away from you. They rip him
You
away.
start to love the geeky Barb, they kill her. You love the geeky Bob Newby, they kill him. You love Alexi, they kill him.
I loved all the little throwbacks to Bob, though. Just for the record, like,
Yes,
the little
the drawing
flashbacks
was on there.
So
and that was actually that wasn't a deleted scene from season 2. Sean actually
he came back.
came in and did a.
I love the slow build that they have between Joyce and Hopper. Like it's everything, like even since season 1, they've hinted around that there's something,
There's a history.
a little something there, and
They
now
shared cigarettes in high school.
Yeah.
Her ex-husband doesn't like Hopper for a reason.
it's been a slow
Very slow build.
build, and
And they argue like a married couple.
hopefully we'll get to see more, but we'll get to that in a minute.
So, Murray, Hopper, and Joyce evade several Soviet agents and learn the agents are looking for the children at the mall. As the mall, 11's group arrives in time to stop the Russians from shooting Dustin. 11 collapses in front of the children, her womb pulsing with a strange growth.
Does she collapse after the thing with the car?
Yeah, she throws the car and destroys the Russians.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that was like just this epic entrance because the car gets thrown and you've got Dustin's group hiding and they just kind of look up and right on the above terrace you see 11 with their hands out and the rest of the group. It's a very Lord of the Rings moment. Kind of like when they're about to charge into Helm's Deep. And they're like, Theoden King stands alone. Not alone. Is very epic.
Do you want to continue doing Lord of the Rings impressions?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. We'll get there.
Great. I can't wait.
So then we move on to the season finale, the Battle of Starcourt, Chapter 8. 11 uses her powers to rid herself of the growth as Hopper's group... I hate that word, too.
Look.
It's not as bad as the M word, but growth. You just think of, like, a tumor or something.
I said earlier, like, I have a weak stomach. This whole thing with 11 and her leg, that was really rough for me, man.
Jonathan slices it open and then starts to dig into her leg to grab this thing.
This is like, okay, so as a teacher, every school year we have to go through EpiPen training.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
It's the worst thing ever because it's not that I have an issue with needles necessarily. It's the way that they like describe what you do because like they bring in the EpiPen and they say, okay, you take it and you just slam it down into their leg. And like every time they do that, it's like, I'm not going to stab a kid with an EpiPen. I mean, I guess
if it saves their life.
Yeah, that's true.
If you get a kid, if it's like my girl and you've got a kid allergic to bees, you're going to want to save their life.
I don't know. I'd have a really hard time. Like, I may be calling my next door neighbor. Come over here and get this kid.
I need you to stab
I'm
this
serious,
kid with
man.
a pen.
Like, I'm being funny and everything, but like I really think I would legitimately like hit the floor and pass out because every time we go through that training, I'm like looking away and I'm like cringing and everything, and everybody always teases me about it. It's a serious problem.
Well, I mean, you're not the only one.
I know. So anyway, like that thing with 11 was like I really struggled on that.
And like he's like just digging in her leg.
Stop.
Revenge.
Thank you. Okay.
And so she then uses her powers to get rid of it, and it's like a little creature, basically. The bite injected a little creature. And we learn that her powers are gone after that.
Mm-hmm.
She can't even move the car.
Nothing.
She can't do anything.
Zip.
So we don't know if it's like maybe it's a mind block because this is the first time she's ever been injured. I think that's what it is.
Well, I think
this is the weakest we've seen 11.
Maybe she got infected with something. Maybe
Possibly.
There's something like living inside her that's dampening her powers.
Could be.
I don't know.
Could be. So she rids of herself of it as Hopper arrives. Plans are made to take 11 to safety, while Hopper, Joyce, and Murray will shut off the machine, with Dustin and Erica navigating them through the radio tower. And then we get one of my favorite scenes. Dustin enlists Susie's help for a code, the Planck's constant. We get to meet Susie. We find out she's real.
She exists. I knew it.
She does exist. And there is a fantastic scene, especially if you're a fan of the movie Neverending Story. I remember watching the Neverending Story when I was a kid. And the theme was epic. And you get this entire scene, which we know Dustin can sing.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them are from Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin, Max, and Lucas. They all come from Broadway. And we get to see Dustin have this over-the-airwaves duet with his girlfriend, Susie. And she can sing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the theme to the Never-Ending Story. And everyone's
Meanwhile,
hearing it over the
mind flayers
airwaves.
chasing them down the road and all this crazy stuff is happening.
But everyone's on the same frequency hearing this duet.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. And
That was
even
a good scene.
Hopper's sitting there like, what in God's name is going on here? We are trying to save the world. And then, of course, she tells him Planck's constant. Billy and the Mind Flayer trap 11 at the mall. Billy seizes 11 for the Mind Flayer while the others distract it with fireworks. 11 is able to awaken Billy's mind from his memories, and Billy sacrifices himself to protect 11.
And I still don't like him.
He dies.
My note says, "Goodbye, Billy. I do not care that you are dead." Notice, when there's a character that I hate that dies, I always say, "I do not care that you are dead." That's my note every time.
Like, you don't care about the emancipation, the redemption. He had a really redeeming moment there. He saved 11 and his sister because he realized.
But he was such a tool.
I know. Let's give I think it's great that they gave him the redemption instead of
just
just like
capital D douchebag.
He was. He did it well.
He did.
And the sad moment where he just looks at Max and says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And then dies.
Yeah, whatever.
Gosh. Moving on after the hate. Hopper fights with Grigori in the gate room as Joyce prepares to trigger the shutdown. Hopper throws Grigori into the machine, causing it to go haywire, and it blocks his exit. Hopper nods to Joyce to trigger the shutdown, seemingly disintegrating everyone in the gate room.
Allegedly.
And stopping the Mind Flayer. So we allegedly see the death of Jim Hopper.
We say goodbye to him for now. Possibly forever?
We don't know.
But I don't think so. I think that would be... Everything is so unresolved with Hopper, man. Like, Joyce and Hopper didn't happen, which I guess you could say that's what makes it so heartbreaking and what makes it so sad. But we didn't actually even see anything happen to him either. So there's a lot of things for me.
From being a fan of the show Supernatural, what I have learned is that if you don't see it happen, it didn't.
You learned that in The Walking Dead as well. Remember,
Glenn?
Yeah, there was a thing with
Morales.
the dumpster. He hid under the dumpsters, and everybody thought, okay, that's it.
We thought Morales was dead the whole time until he showed up with Negan.
Yeah.
And that was, 9 seasons almost difference? If you don't see it happen.
Daryl's brother Merle.
Yeah. We thought
if you don't see it, may not be true.
Exactly.
And I think with a character like Hopper, if he's going out...
Supernatural, even if you do see it, they bring him back.
Yeah.
So,
with a character like Hopper, he's so important that if something's happening to him, we would probably see it.
Yeah, they'd have to show it.
So I think he'll come back.
Kind of like the death of Billy, the death of Bob, the death of Barb.
Exactly.
You have to see
You
it.
see it happen, you know for sure
no coming
it's
back.
done. So we didn't get that, so
No.
I think he'll be back.
We didn't.
I won't accept that he's dead anyway.
No. As Dr. Owens arrives with military forces, just in the nick of time, as always. Good old government showing up
about
minutes later.
About 10 minutes too late there.
And it was cool to see Dr. Owens again. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just for that little few minutes. 11 sees from Joyce's expression that Hopper is gone. 3 months later, Joyce's family and a powerless 11 prepare to move out of Hawkins. Joyce gives Hopper's written speech to 11, and that is just the saddest scene. My
note
mom
just
bawled
says,
her eyes
"So sad."
out because, it's a parent.
Yeah.
As a parent, you're like,
oh yeah,
oh my God.
oh yeah.
However, for the first time in Stranger Things history, there's a post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
They took a page out of Marvel, and there's a post-credit scene. And it's really cool. In Kamchatka, probably saying it wrong, Russia. Kamchatka, Russia.
I'll take it.
That. Guards are instructed to feed a prisoner, but not the American, to a captive albino demogorgon.
So, if
not the American.
If you're like me, you're hoping that that's Hopper.
I think he jumped in the gate.
But
because Hopper's always thinking, like, what would he do?
Well, it's because he's like, I said on one of the previous episodes, like, he reminds me of Harrison Ford's characters, like Indiana Jones or Han Solo.
Yeah.
He's quick. He's
always like,
rugged.
How do I get out of this?
Yeah. So I think he made it.
I think he turned around and was like, well, the gate's
still open. But you brought up an interesting idea. Like, what if the American that they're keeping is Brenner?
Yeah.
Because we still haven't seen him.
And we were told in season 2 by Ray that Brenner's still alive.
He's out there.
That he's still out there.
And I think that, it's not beyond the Duffer Brothers to try to swerve us.
Them to swerve us, but I really think you would see Jim die.
Oh, yeah, for
if
sure.
it was time for Hopper to die.
But there could be, what I'm saying, though, is, like, there could be other ways around the death thing. Like,
he could just be in the Upside Down.
Yeah, could be.
Stuck.
And the person in the cell, like, they want you to think it's Hopper, but I could totally see them saying, no, it's Brenner or it's somebody else.
We're trying to get the information.
It'd be great to have a little surprise like that.
But then another surprise.
But still bring Hopper back.
Yes.
So,
like, it could be Brenner, and that's a swerve, but then, oh, wait, by, like, episode 3 or 4... that mid-season finale feel, you see Hopper in the Upside Down, navigating his way through Upside Down Hawkins, escaping, fighting off demogorgons, and, like, what if he comes back in mid-season 4? Like, what if they don't do it until, like, episode 3 or 4, and he's, like, this rugged, like, Jumanji, like, he's been trapped in the Upside Down, and he's bearded and long hair. That'd be cool, because
so
you know what they do every season? A flash forward.
Yeah.
It's always they have to do that because these kids are aging quick.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we've discussed this before. Maybe we haven't. There is talks that season 5 will be the last, and I think it's good. You don't want it to overstay its welcome. And what makes this show great is that it's kids outwitting, whether it's a crooked government, the Russians, it's kids outwitting.
And it works because the cast is so perfect.
Yeah.
All these kids are so talented and charming, and you just you fall in love with them.
Their characters.
And you believe everything they say and do.
Like the scene where they're trying to have Eleven use her powers, and Mike's like, please don't, she's weak, she's tired, and she's like, I love her and I can't lose her again. And they're all like, oh, there it is. Mm-hmm. That whole scene's great. I do feel like in most of this show, Mike yells a lot. He's angry.
Well, he's a teenager.
Yeah. He's a jerk to Hopper at the beginning.
He is, too.
I had a problem with Mike there.
Yeah. You're right.
So, any final thoughts?
Think it's a great season. Can't wait for season 4. Have they confirmed when that's going to happen?
They're going to start filming in October.
Okay. So
and then it'll probably be the next.
So maybe next Halloween we'll get season 4.
Yes.
They're not going to take as long of a break like they did.
No, they won't. They've already said that they're going to start filming in October. We just don't know what season they start with because, season 1 and 2 took place in fall and Christmas. Mm-hmm. This took place in summer. So
I didn't tell you this.
Winter would be cool.
I didn't talk about it, but when I left Logan's house last week, his house is like 7 miles away from where they filmed Hawkins Middle and High School.
Oh my gosh!
I drove by. I went over there and
school.
Yeah, and I drove up past the school, and they still have Hawkins Middle School on the side of the wall. And we'll share that picture out, on our Facebook page, and I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, I went by and checked it out.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of the Stranger Things filming locations pretty close to his house, so I think we should try to go on a little tour next time we're down there.
Absolutely, we will.
We'll map it out.
Well, I mean, we'll be in Atlanta soon because we're auditioning for Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I want to be King Shark.
And I want to be dude in a hazmat suit, number 3. Because you know something good's going to happen to that guy.
You want to be the guy who has to get Killer Croc out of his lair. Because that goes well.
Every time.
So, final thoughts. I mean, great season, great cliffhanger. Characters are great, performances are great, as always. So excited for Season 4. It can't come quick enough. Hopefully less than a year we'll have Season 4. And, yeah, man. What'd you think? Good breakdown? Did you have fun?
Lots of fun.
Always
Always
enjoy
fun.
talking Stranger Things.
Oh, me too.
I mean,
And now, out of our 13 episodes on this show, 3 of them
are Stranger Things.
So I guess you could say
so
we're fans.
It's fitting that Season 3's breakdown falls on our lucky 13th episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of fun. So, you wanted them to stick around. We're very excited for next week.
That's right, because next week's episode will release on July 31st. And as nerds, we both know that July 31st is Harry Potter's birthday and it's J.K. Rowling's birthday. So in honor of their birthdays, we are going to do episode 14, Nerdy Potter. So if you have questions about Harry Potter, we're not going to talk about a specific book or movie or anything like that. We're just talking about the entire world of Harry Potter.
Potterverse.
Everything. So if you have questions or anything like that about Harry Potter, send them in, and I'm sure we'll get to them on the episode.
Absolutely. Questions, favorite moments, favorite movie, favorite book. If you're like me and you think the third book was good, but the third movie did not hold up to the book.
You're not the only one.
You're not the only one, first of all. If there's something you disagreed with, like me, like where the heck is Peeves?
Okay,
it's a blasphemy that Peeves is not in the movies because he's prominent in early books.
Okay.
I loved
Yeah.
Peeves.
We'll talk about it.
We will talk about all that again. This has been a great episode. We're very excited for Harry Potter, and since it's Harry Potter, I will have some stories of locations I visited from Europe that were filming areas for Harry Potter.
Can't wait.
Very exciting. So, yeah, man. That is episode 13 in the books.
And what an episode it's been. And with that, we will see you next time, nerds.